Hey, beautiful soul. Before we jump into the episode, I want to know, did you know that I have a completely free virtual new moon circle called Co-Create every single month? This stemmed out of a constant request for a space or a church that taught so many different spiritual modalities, tools, systems, beliefs, and I didn't have any place to send them. So I created it. In Co-Create, this is the space that I want to bring to you to learn how to create a connection to yourself, your energetics, and the divine in a community that won't make you feel like a weirdo. A space where you can ask any question you want, where we get to dive into so many systems and beliefs and tools, and you get to pick and choose what feels good for you. So you can learn what it means to truly co-create with the universe, God, source, for flow, trust, and surrender, to connect with other women who are spiritually curious in a space that's safe, sacred, and inspirational. It's your space for you to find your people and lean into new spiritual practices to truly co create with the universe or God or source or whoever you feel connected to. You'll gain tools and knowledge to understand what it really means to lean into the universal laws and become magnetic, all while being held by massive feminine energy. I've been hosting these free new moon circles for almost a year now, and it's definitely one of my most sacred spaces, and it's completely free for you every single month. Diana said that she made a promise to herself that she would work on her personal development and growth journey earlier in 2024. So I reached out to her and asked her for a testimonial to share with us. And what she said was Adriana's membership community and Co-Create has accelerated that and more. I have had multiple breakthroughs from finding a new career path, improving my mental health by reducing my anxiety and depression through journaling, meditation, and breath work, improving my physical health, doing walking meditations are my jam, strengthening my marriage and relationships, improving my money mindset, and just setting up a routine that complements my design. I've learned to embrace challenges as a sign of growth. I will continuously do my best to be in harmony with myself, with this world, and the universe. I have never felt so seen, heard, safe, and supported. Her community and Co-Create has helped me connect to my true authentic self, to move with grace and intention, to embrace everyone's uniqueness. And we each have a special gift and are collectively part of this world to show and share it this way. Thank you so much, Diana, for sharing all of your reflections and how Co-Create and my community has changed your life. And now I want to share it with everyone else. The link to register is in the show notes below. Even if you register for 1 month, you will automatically be signed up to be able to join every single month for as long as you're on the list. So you don't have to repeat it every month. You will always get on the list. You will always have the Zoom link available. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Now enjoy the episode. Welcome to the No BS Human Design Podcast. I'm Adriana Keefe, human design coach and motivational speaker. I went through my quarter life crisis in my 20s and had to learn how to navigate through finding what I was meant to be doing with my life. I refused to believe in the culture that said we were all meant to have the same path and boring careers until we retire and die. And along my journey, I found human design, a system that reveals your energetic blueprint, showing you where and how to access your body's consciousness and how to live as your true self. Human design changed my life, so I started sharing it with others and changing their lives, but we were all finding the same problem: a lack of resources that explain the system in easy and useful ways. So I created this show where we dive deep into the lessons of the human design system without the BS and the noise you find on the internet. Listen in for lessons in human design, finding your purpose, manifestation and spiritual practices, human design within business, and so much more. We connect with other experts in the human design and spiritual realm in a refreshingly honest way to help you find your way along your spiritual path and live this life with intention. It's time to let go of the societal expectations of being and let yourself find abundance through being uniquely you. Let's get started. All right, this is going to be the start of such a fun panel series. Because I am a manifesting generator by my design, I am well aware that I can only speak to the energy of the other types based on what I've heard, what I've read, what I've studied. And so, what better way to truly understand what it's like to be one of the types, like a projector, than to actually have projectors who are familiar with their design and who feel, I like to say aligned with their design, but really it's like we're aligning just little by little every single day. It's a journey. So I have brought on three incredible women who not only know about their human design, but who I feel are just so deeply aligned and aligning more every day with what it means to be a projector for them. And I say for them because it's such a massive scale within the projector type. There's so many different energies within being a projector. So I have three beautiful women on today. I will go across my screen. I'm not picking favorites, just whoever showed up first. I'm gonna pick your face, and I'm gonna have them introduce themselves. And if you want to see them, get to know them a little bit better, you can watch this along with us on YouTube. Stephanie, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and let us know your design and your astrology.
Yeah, my name's Stephanie Audette Connor. What am I? I am a self-projected projector, 1-3, 1-3 self-projected projector. Ooh.
Nailed it.
Um, and I am a Pisces sun. I'm a Leo moon and a Scorpio rising.
Ooh. And who are you besides your design and your astrology? Who would you say Stephanie is?
Ooh, some crazy human being that loves to design. I'm a graphic designer. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. New kind of founder of my reincarnated business this year. Yeah,
Happy 10-year anniversary, business
thank
versary.
you. Yes, 10
What
years.
better way to celebrate than to rebrand? I love that for
Yeah.
you. Thank you for being here. Katya, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Katya Stepanov, and I am a 5-1 mental projector. And my big three are Leo sun, Taurus moon, Libra rising, but I am also a Virgo stellium, Mars, Venus, and Mercury, baby. All in Virgo, all in the 12th house, which is where all my psychic abilities come from, really, and my attention to detail, which is also why I love the human design system. And I am also a human design reader. I read human design. I'm approaching my 100th reading, which is like, wow, really a milestone for me. And so I really do feel the knowledge deepening on a different level than when I just had it in my mind before, although I am a mind focused design. So that's the unique quality. I'm happy to talk more about it today. And other than being a human design reader, I really am a multi hyphenate. I am starting my own podcast. I'm a speaker. I'm an actor. I'm an entrepreneur. I've founded 4 different companies. I do a lot of different things, and I'm a conscious DJ. I dance and DJ like ecstatic dances and non-traditional. Not I like a club too. Don't get me wrong, although kind of to a degree as a projector. But my jam is to DJ conscious movement experiences that end before 10 p.m.
I love that. Yes. And I loved how you talked about your stellium because although I am a Taurus sun, Scorpio moon, Leo rising, I have two stelliums. I have Gemini stellium and Capricorn stellium. So like
Oh, major.
it's like so much more to me than the top three. You just never get out of this rabbit hole that you go down, guys, apparently. Oh my God. And conscious DJ, I didn't know that. That's so cool. Jess, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Jess. I am a projector, a 1-3, and I'm a pretty unique projector, but we'll get into that later. Um, my astrology in the Western, also known as tropical, I'm a double Taurus Scorpio. In Vedic, which is Jyotish, I'm a double Libra Scorpio. So Scorpio is very much still very much in that uh, lineage for me. Gosh, I'm a Vedic counselor, and I'm also an innovation consultant for health, spirituality, all things, wellness, businesses, entrepreneurs, things like that. And I've taken a very Vedic approach to human design. I don't work with anybody with that because I don't have experience with that, but my own personal journey and meeting you and being on your podcast and writing about it, I'm just discovering so much correlation between Vedic traditions and being a projector and the human design system in general. So I'm just taking a very different path with understanding myself and using astrology, but I've really loved how human design has complemented either what I already knew, and it just totally like made sense of everything. And you've just done such a wonderful job in helping me understand. So I appreciate you, and I'm excited for this panel. It's going to be great.
Thank you for the kind. And I love that you mentioned using other modalities hand in hand, because I always say if it's not human design, you'll find your answer in something else. That's why the Magnetic Rebellion exists, where it's just a community for the spiritually curious, because it's not human design for everyone. So I love that you added that, because it is like find your own flavor in whatever systems or tools work for you. So I have a list of some questions that we're going to go through very loosely, and we'll go in the same order so that everyone gets used to the order of the voices and the people that we're talking to and who are speaking. So first question, go to Steph, and then Katya will answer, and then Jess will answer. Steph, when you first learned you were a projector, what resonated most deeply with you about the type?
Ooh. At first I didn't think I was a projector, first of all. So I'm like, no, I'm definitely a generator. Like I work all day. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? But then when I stepped back and took a closer look at it, I'm like, you're right. I do have these spurts of energy where I'm like really into a project. I'm diving deep and I could go for hours, a couple hours, and then I'm like, I can't sit any longer. Like I need to do something else. I need to get up, I need to move around, and then I need to like just calm my brain down for a little bit at the same time. So and that wasn't working mostly. I found it at first my projectorness in the working, I guess, in the business world. So
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs seek out this information, because we're like searching for business help or guidance. And of course, it bleeds into everything else, but that's usually how we get into it for sure. Katya, what about for you? When you first learned you were a projector, what resonated deeply?
Honestly, everything. Um, I Human design was the first system in which I actually saw what was different, actually really different about me, laid out not just visually, but in connecting all the dots between my astrology. I had been studying the I Ching. I had been studying the chakra system. I was a former yoga teacher. I'm truly a yoga student for life. And it was the first time I saw all those things represented, and I saw how many open centers I have as a mental projector. I only have two defined centers, my ajna and my throat, and one channel structuring. That's it. Single focus of my life. And suddenly everything made sense in this beautiful, simple poetry of that is what I do. I structure things like experiences or systems or understanding the structure of things or how things could be structured for somebody else. So for me, that was a real revelation. Also, being a non-energy type, feeling like I could get a month's worth of work done in 3 hours, and then would have the need to do nothing and just exist. And then in the existing, something coming in that space, or the ability to hear something new that, people are like, where did that come from? Because it's not necessarily even coming from me. So a lot of things resonated. I would say I was bummed as well, because I, at the time, was very much living under this illusion and spell of the solopreneur and doing everything myself and thinking that I had to do everything myself and that I should be able to keep up the pace with all the generators around me. My entire household are generators. I'm the only projector. So it was like, I did, my mom was like, now we understand why I used to run away from us all the time, because I literally needed distance, actual physical space. So it bummed me out because I've been around generators my whole life, and many of us have. And you are always like, you have that, like, why can't I just stay up past, 11 and still converse with people, or like whatever it is. But also leaning into that, on the other hand, being around us or being around a projector, you get like a macro dose in a shorter amount of time rather than a micro dose over a long time. And that resonates with me a lot as a personality as well.
Mm-hmm. I like the dosage. I like that. And also to point out, Steph doesn't have, technically should be a non-energy projector as well. I can't remember Jess, but you can let us know in a second. For anyone who's listening, when Katya said non-energy, she doesn't have any definition or consistent energy in any of the motors. So heart, sacral, root, solar plexus. Same with Steph. Steph does not have that either. So you'll see there's non-energy, quote, non-energy, and energy projectors. I don't like labels like that, so take it or leave it. But Jess, first I'd like to hear if you have definition in any of your root or your heart. I don't think you do either. Do you know?
I don't recall.
I don't
I
remember.
may, and that's something that I didn't actually focus on. So that's probably why I'm not, I can't really confirm that.
Yeah.
Um, and it speaks to what I mentioned before, being very unique with like my right angle cross of explanation, and a couple of the gates working together, and the sense of outer vision. Like these are very like specific things that are like unique. But and I remember you saying to me like it's very rare for me as a projector because I have I can work like 12 hours straight
Yes, I'm
for
looking at your chart now. You have a
yeah,
definition in your solar plexus, you have emotional authority, and your root. So you have two of the four. So you would technically be called an energy projector.
sure, yeah,
Take it or
yeah.
leave it. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, no, but what I felt when I first, what resonated with me when, I first heard the words in like the first minutes of the reading, it was just complete alignment. And it was language that I then could use to explain certain aspects of myself. Where I'm like, oh, okay. Now I have words and phrases and concepts, and I can be like, oh, that I never had before. And that happens all the time with Sanskrit and studies of the Vedas. And just like things just completely resonated. And one of the things that I absolutely loved was how finding out very much and validated my ability to take information and communicate that information in a very practical way. So I can work with really complex things, and I can, turn it into like talking to a kindergartner or something like that. I'm very, very good at that. But I'm also really good at like I see the entire picture. I am very much like I see the whole thing at one time. I'm not step by step. I'm like, here's the whole situation. Here's the whole understanding. Here's the whole teaching. And I was like, yeah, that's been like my entire life. And what Katya said, I completely agree, which was like, and I see it more of like we're very much channels. That's not us. It's just it's a innate inner knowing, but I very much believe it's connected to a divine source, and we just happen to be very closely tied to that channel. So it's
Conduit.
just directing through us. So yeah, it was really cool to see the system. And then also what resonated was like the Vedic integration of how the system works. So I was super fascinated with that. And then I just launched into research mode and wrote about it and just continue to just take it all in day by day.
That 1-3 took over. And
Yes.
I see Katya lighting up at everything you're saying. And because Jess, you also have the channel of structuring. So this is from the ajna to the throat. It's the 4323, also known as the genius freak channel. So Katya's nodding. She's like, oh my God, she sounds like me. And it's
Yeah, I'm
resonating
like, I
so
see
much.
myself in
Yeah,
you. And it's
We're
rare. That's rare, a rare resonance for
it
those
is.
who are like, yeah, you see yourself in others all the time. You're probably a generator. Like it's actually really rare to to hear
Yes.
someone say something and be like, yeah, me too. Um, and just seeing the whole vision at the start definitely resonates. I think that's
Yeah.
something I've seen heard reflected back to me a lot more than and that's how I started to understand it. Because also projectors, we're not self-focused. We're really focused on the system or the other person. So it's really funny because for us, sometimes we'd be like, I had this major revelation, and all of our friends are like, yeah, we all knew that about you, but you're having this profound thing because you've suddenly focused on yourself for a moment, which is not our natural orientation towards the world. So it's really special. Thank you for bringing us together, Adriana.
I'm
Yeah,
grateful
I
too.
don't see the 43-23 a lot. Probably like 10-15% of the time. So the fact that I got two of you in the same room, that's fun to hear about. I love that. Okay. So next question, Steph, back to you. What does a genuine invitation feel like to you? And do you feel like you're able to distinguish it from casual conversation?
Hmm. Um, yes and yes, I think so. Um, yeah. All right, say it one more time.
Yes. Can you wait? Yeah. What does a genuine
About
invitation feel like to you? And how do you distinguish that from casual conversation? And I want to reiterate for anyone listening, Stephanie is self-projected. So things out helps her find her answer. So Stephanie, you're being an example right now
just
by just
talk.
start talking. Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna start talking like usual. I've actually found that when I start talking, I answer my own questions now
Mhm.
before anyone else can tell me. Okay, genuine someone almost like compliments me, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I love what you did with that." And then they'll be like, "I would love for you to do that for me." So, or they're just enthusiastic and they feel like they can trust me almost. They don't ask me too many questions, really. I don't know, like they don't test me. They're just kind of like, I really want to know what you think. They just trust what I'm gonna say or feed back to them. I think that's when I feel more of a genuine invitation versus casual requests like, hey, can you look at this for me? Or like, yeah, there's just no like energy behind it type of thing. Then I feel like, well, do you really care? Are you really gonna listen? That sort of thing.
Mm.
Um,
So it almost
I,
starts with like learning how to receive compliments for you.
I guess so. Yeah, I haven't thought about it too much, but I think it's just that genuine want, someone that wants to work with me or wants genuine feedback and is open to receiving it, that I'm like, okay, yeah, like I would love it. And it makes me want to give more and help them more type of thing.
Well, because you're kind of already answering my next question, so I want to round this out so that you can kind of close this loop for anyone listening. Can you describe how it energetically feels when you notice you're feeling seen and recognized, especially in your genius? Because
Oh
what
my
you're
God,
saying
it's
right now,
so
that's
good.
the moment, right? So like what does that feel like for you?
It just feels like a light bulb in my heart is like lighting up. And it's like, yes, you see me and you hear me and you believe me and you're taking my advice. And it just like makes me so happy because like I don't know, being able to see that big picture and like being able to identify like this is what you need. I just want them to take it and run with it. And I know like it's gonna propel them so much more forward. So I just get excited for them, I guess at the same time. Yeah.
Mm. It almost feels like that. So reflectors talk about like seeing the potential in other people and how it really delights them. It almost feels like that. And I wonder if that's a lot of your openness too. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I always see potential in other people. I'm always like, well, why don't you just do this? Or why don't you just, and they make it so complicated. And I'm like, no, just leave your job. And, that's making it so complicated that they need more money or this or that. And I'm like, no, just leave. Like, you have so much potential. You have so many gifts. Yeah, definitely.
I love you. For all of our listeners, just so you know, Stephanie is the face behind the rebrand of my entire business. She did everything for the Magnetic Rebellion, and she literally all she had me do was fill out a form that said like, what I saw for myself and for my work, and then bam, she just like projected all over it, and it was like this beautiful, most magnificent looking brand kit that everyone compliments, everyone asks who did it. Yeah, and because I let you just do your thing. Like I just was like, when
Yes.
do you need me to show up to a call? Cool. Okay.
Yes. Exactly. Letting me like live in my zone of genius and just appreciating it and like just trusting me is just gives me so much joy.
Yes. Thank you. Katya, now I'm going to shoot that question over to you. The first being, what does a genuine invitation look like? Like, how do you distinguish?
Oh, there is no doubt about it. Like there's no so yeah, I wrote down a note. Recognition always comes first.
Ooh.
That is the key for me. An invitation without recognition is not a correct invitation for me.
Hmm.
Anyone can just be invited somewhere, come to this party. It's a very different thing for truly. I tried this out. I went to Art Basel. And again, once I learned about this, and for me, and also for you, Jess, with the 2343, you mentioned it, Adriana, the Freak to Genius channel. If I share what I see uninvited or at the wrong time, I'm a freak. If I wait for someone to ask me what I think, I'm a genius. And it's literally the only difference is not the information, it's the timing. And so once I understood this, once I grokked this, not like understood, but like, on the body level, I was like, cool. So my new strategy in life is that I only go places I'm explicitly invited to go. And when I go there, I don't try to do anything. I literally just be. I be myself. I do what I want to do. So I went to Basel because I was invited to DJ on a boat. Could have gone to Art Basel any year. I love that place. The idea of that place, it resonates with me. But I waited until someone invited me to come do something specific, DJ their event on a yacht. That's my first time at Art Basel. Not like buying a ticket, trying to see and meet people. That would be my personal hell.
Can I live
So
your life for just like a week? Like, I just want to experience your life.
definitely. Well, this is why I'm becoming more of a creator. I want to let people in on the insanity that is my life. It's kind of amazing. So, and what I'm going to keep telling you this magical story because I finally am listening and living my life in this design. I was like, of course I'll go because I feel recognized and invited. I know I'm there for a purpose. I'm at the party doing what I do best. I'm visible. I'm visible to others. So I'm visible in my genius zone in this environment, and I'm an environmental authority because I don't have any defined centers in my body. So I have to be in an environment that actually is serving me or feels good, or I literally get sick. Like it's not something casual. It's like my body will just be like, no, we can't be here. So I'm there, and I was like, let me just go to events and just be. And time and time again. So for me, what an invitation looks like is someone will come up to me. Like I'll be dancing on the dance floor. They will come up to me. They will stand in front of me. They will look me deep in the eyes and they'll go, hi. And I'll go, hi. And this could be like an utter stranger, especially because 5-1, it's usually people I don't know that come up to me and they're like, and they say the exact same sentence. And this happened 5 times in 1 week in Miami. The same sentence. I love your energy. That is the first sentence that for me, when someone comes up to me and they're like, whoa, I love your energy, I know they're receiving me on a level that's real and meaningful. And then from that point on, I'm like, this is a direct invitation to engage with this person. And then they all usually are like, well, who are you? What do you do? And they start asking me genuinely to share who I am with them. Right. And I just wait and I trust that in any environment I'm in, the person I'm supposed to meet, the thing I'm supposed to do, whatever it is, they will arrive. They'll literally like arrive and announce themselves and be like, hey, I see you. You're incredible. XYZ. Like, do you want to come hang out with me? Can I get your phone number? And the non-invitations that I get that I've fallen into, if I really am truly honest with myself, they're things that I secretly invited myself to. Like I saw it and it was cool and I was in proximity and I was like, I'd like to go to that, or I'd like to help with that or whatever, from that place. And then the other person sometimes will be like, great, sure. But in the relationship later on, they're always questioning, changing what I say. It's like it's not actually a fit. Like it's not actually, it's like when I'm hopeful, I'm very hopeful all the time that invitations are genuine. But truly, if I think back to the ones that don't feel great, it's because I somehow did the initiating of the relationship. And that from that moment, it's not aligned.
Mm. So, two of the biggest things I'm going to take away from what you're saying is finding your specific patterns. Like for you, it was the people saying, I love your energy, or the eye contact, that recognition. And then the second piece, when you feel like you're about to initiate, it's trusting that mantra of like, it's always this or something better instead of initiating and waiting for the universe, God, source to bring something else for you. That's so interesting. Um, so can you describe how it feels energetically when you feel that moment of like you're seen, you recognize they're actually inviting you? What does that feel like for you?
I mean, truly, I have their full attention. So it's like I feel so chosen, that my body is like, I'm being chosen. Like, and oftentimes these people, I don't know if you guys have this experience, but they'll like, it's like a magnet thing. Like that suddenly for the rest of the party or event, they're like, they don't want to leave my side. It's like they're just like truly moth to the flame, where for whatever reason they're being magnetized. Like literally I'm magnetizing them in with my projectorness, and so that I'm like, okay, so I just trust whoever is clearly like, again, it's not something I can, if I have to question it, if I'm like, are they, then it's not, I'm making it up, like there's no doubt about it. You feel the resonance in your body, you feel seen, you feel like lit up. Suddenly you could talk forever and they're never going to get bored of you. It's like this, like, yeah, I don't know how to explain it in words, but it feels like a clicking into place where you're like,
Ooh,
oh,
yeah.
I'm my full self right now. And I'm my full self, and you can see me in my full gifts because you recognize who I really am. And that's the key. That's the key.
Mm. It's almost like feeling a spark of chemistry, not even
Yeah.
just with the other person specifically, but within yourself. That's very
And people
interesting.
will spell it out. They'll say, I feel drawn to you. I got another DM the other day from someone I had a conversation with at a party that I could tell was a projector. And I was like, I bet you're a projector. And afterwards, he wrote me and he was like, I feel so drawn to you. And I'm like, okay, this is just, it's like believe people when they tell you, they'll just tell you. You won't have to question it.
Yeah. So it's real. You so far, you guys are really saying the energetics of learning to receive a compliment are huge here for sure. So interesting. All right, Jess, what does a genuine invitation look like for you?
Yeah, so I have a very different experience. Um, and I think this does have to do with my astrological makeup. Um, I seem to be very intimidating to most. Um, I also have a very strong, grounded presence that a lot of people just don't know what to do with. And I'm also 5'1", so I'm like, I'm not a big presence, but it is kind of like they don't really know um, what's gonna come out of my mouth or what I'm gonna say next. And it's not because I'm a certain way. It's just more of like I'm so grounded to the point that they feel triggered or uncomfortable, and they want to please me somehow and make it comfortable for them. I'm very much what I would call like a walking trigger, I guess, for people. And I think it also has to do with how I've had certain traumas and how I've healed from those traumas and how I help people with those traumas now. Um, so there's a lot of depth to my being. And I think a lot of people feel that when they're physically around me. And it is felt, virtually, but it's not as strong of a feeling as if it's in person. And because I have a lot of depth, waiting for the invitation is so wonderful for me, because I'm like a volcano of information and just want to share and just, help and hold space and all these different things. But and I've actually do a bit better with initiation. And it's been that way my whole life, but it's because I do the work, whether it's energy or the self work, you know, spiritual attunement, to get to a point of, this is aligned, this is going to work. And it's usually just that. It's not willy nilly. It's very calculated. I take time. And then when I do initiate, it's very much a profound connection. It's something that changes my life in a big way. And then invitations by someone, whether it's like a conversation or an opportunity, it's very much about that recognition, but it's also about the genuine interest and them showing up authentically. And then we're able to match that authenticity, because I'm not anything but authentic. So it's kind of like, with all of those layers of myself and being a little bit intimidating, if you're not authentic, I'm not gonna, it's not gonna really work energetically. But when I do receive an invitation, and when I do have connections, and it's all aligned, it could feel very karmic. It could feel very familiar. Usually it's like, oh, I feel like I've known you for so long. It feels, I've been told, like, I've learned so much from you. And I'm like, I don't have any one-on-one with them. It's kind of like I don't know, I kind of have a sage presence, a very just like, I guess I'm just going to walk around the earth and be energetically myself. And then that's all I really have to do. But I also just want to write all the things and say all the things. But, the knowing about the projector blueprint and knowing about all these things about my human design chart really allows me to calm and be even more grounded. I don't know how much more grounded you could be, but the internal conversation you have with yourself has very much calmed. It's much calmer internally these days.
I love that you mentioned the spirituality piece. I actually did, this might have been a year and a half ago, it was a while ago, a podcast episode with a mental projector who was saying, well, I actually get my invitation from spirit. And that sent me down my own studying path of like what that, yeah, Katya's saying me too. And I will say, obviously I'm a Manny Gen, but decision making has become so much easier for me because I can tell through spirit, through the universe's signs, whatever, when something's in alignment and not. So yes, I will still initiate and go out and do things with a certain trust muscle in place that I feel like you do need that kind of spiritual connection to understand. So I love that you
Absolutely.
added that. I think that is important for people out there who feel connected and they're like, wait, I've been initiating this whole time and it's been working. I mean, yes, we literally can bypass some of this sometimes with like spirit on our side. But start with the basics for sure. So Jess, then what does it feel like for you? Although I think you kind of answer this feeling for you when you're truly seen and recognized, but you said it feels like karmic, like you know them. Is there anything else you would add to that?
The only thing that I would add is there is that kind of innate knowing of the spirit. So it's very much different from karmic, because it could be past. It could, the karma wheel is complicated. But with the spiritual, there's also like soul to soul family, similar intentions of reincarnating and, existing now at this time and place. And we just happen to meet. So there's a very spiritual, innate knowing that I feel. And the same goes for those invitations that aren't aligned. I know right away, spiritually and energetically, it's like, that's not the person, or that's not the environment, or I don't even have to explain it to myself. I just very much trust that muscle. And it's overwhelming in both situations for me. So for me, yes, the mental, emotional, physical and all of that is very, very important, but the spiritual very much leads some big decisions. And I'm grateful for that. So yeah, that's what I would add.
Beautiful.
I
Thank you.
That's a question.
Yeah.
I'm curious about something. Do you also have the experience of like, I can see another being in the world and get a hit that a sense of knowing that like, oh, we're connected. And then I do the waiting and like you were talking about this too, like the waiting of like, I know that. I know that this person is important, this place is important, this thing is important, but now's not the right time. And I just like do the waiting and inner work. And then years later, the invitation arrives and you're like, this is the thing I was feeling about this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. Does that happen to you as well?
Oh yes, and I have I can go on and on about it, but in short, my partner Marty now, love of my life, love him with all my being. I wouldn't say I manifested him, but as I was growing up and as I was in my early 20s and doing the work to find a partner, I would speak to him and I would write things down and I would very much be present if we were already together, if we were already like officially dating and stuff. And when I met him, it was that feeling of like, oh, wonderful. Like it was just an overwhelming like at peace. And I didn't really know he was going to look the way he did, but I did have a very strong feeling of who he was going to be as a man, as a soul, all these beautiful things. So that's a great example of like it's just that knowing. And I knew exactly where he was going to be. I knew that I've always wanted to move up here. I knew that I was going to find him here. It goes down to all these different layers, but yeah, that definitely does happen. I think that's a very valuable superpower. I think I'll name it that.
And I feel like there's a lot of people who are listening, if they're familiar with human design, they could be wondering if this is a G center thing. But Katya, your G is open, right? Jess is defined, Stephanie's is defined, but Katya's is not.
Yeah, no, for me, it's like I hear it again. I guess it's me hearing the environment. Like, I mean, I'll give you two specific examples that are wild. I, my best friend is a self-projected projector. This also makes a lot of sense because the two of us need to talk in order to hear ourselves. So we are great at just going in a rabbit hole that no one else can tolerate, where we just talk endlessly and then we solve our own problems. Like we don't solve each other's problems. We just have the safe space to like talk it out and hear our own authority. But he had an intuition about a place, a retreat center in New York. And then I was at an event somewhere and somebody walked in the door and I just felt like, oh, this person is important. Like I recognize it in the moment. It's like I hear it in the environment. And but I didn't, it's not like I go up to that person in that moment and I'm like, hey, I'm getting this intuitive hit about you that you're my destined XYZ. Like, no, she's a freak, right? Like I have the knowing in the moment. And then I'm like, cool, let's see what happens. Well, of course, I find out that the retreat center started in this person's living room. One, two, later on, I will invite this person to be the co-founder of my company. And I will also invite another woman to be the co-founder of my company, also based on this intuitive hit. And then I look at them together and I'm like, because they're meant to be. And then I introduce them and we start a company and now they're getting married. And they literally their extra room is our office. Like the knowing is it's like, I know things sometimes about people. They're like, how'd you know? And I'm like, I can't explain it to you, but I heard it. It was like something guiding me in the moment, but not fully the wisdom is there in the moment. But again, I had to wait. I waited until the invitation was there to connect with this person, to learn all those things and synchronicities, to invite them to be my co-founders because I felt this very strong spirit told me to. It wasn't like, again, it was in direction. It was like, you must do this now. And it was destiny, and they are my co-founders and they are getting married. And we're all getting married in the same like 2 years, so it's very mystical cosmic timeline thing that's going on where we just feel that fabric a little bit more closely, I think, than other types. And so, but it's a weird condition because you know things and then you're like, but I can't tell you like when that will happen. I just know it will.
You guys are leading me to ask a question that totally didn't plan for it, but I feel like it's really necessary now that we're talking. Steph, I'll start with you. How did you build this trust muscle then to wait for the invitation? Because that's not the society we live in. That's not what we're taught. We're taught you have to go after and get the thing. Steph's like, I'm still learning. I know. So am I. So like from your viewpoint, how do you do that waiting?
100%. I am definitely still learning because I only learned about human design. What was it? Oh, maybe like a year, a
Year
little
and a half?
over a year ago. So I am still learning. Um, yeah, I do find, I think Katya was saying this, I do find when I do insert myself, everybody looks at me like, it's like, who are you to say type of thing. Like, just why are you here type of thing. And then that makes me so like self-conscious and like, oh my gosh, why did I say something? Or I shouldn't have said that, or I should have said it differently. And then it just like spirals. Um, yeah, I'm still learning. I don't know. I definitely still interject at times, but every time I do, I'm constantly shown that like, no, back up, wait till you're invited. So I am learning to trust it, and it's been a slow process, but I just have to practice more, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you're going through years of undoing, right? So for
Um,
you, like with the not self theme being bitterness, do you feel like, and this is just me picking up what you said, so agree or disagree. Do you feel like bitterness for you feels like questioning your own self-worth, like a low self-worth feeling in yourself?
Sometimes, then other times it's like I get like bitter towards that person,
Mm.
mm, like I don't,
Go fuck yourself.
it's just like a feeling, like, yeah, I think it depends what the conversation is, but.
Mm.
mm.
Okay, cool. Katya, what about for you? How did you build that trust muscle?
Through like confirmation bias from the universe by literally being like, I'm gonna just try this out. And I'm living proof that my life has improved so dramatically. It is like a enjoy the show. Just enjoy the show. Like
Mhm.
we get to watch this amazing, ever lasting show of all the other energy types like relating to each other. And they will have a moment where they go, wait a minute, what do you think? And if you wait for them to go through their like things that they got to go through, la la la, and like wait for them to just actually have the full presence to notice you, all of the prep work you've been doing and all the studying you've been doing is so that you can spend 2 seconds saying something to them when they finally ask you and blow their mind and go, wow, you just in 10 seconds, you did better than 10 years of therapy. Because yeah, you finally you woke up that I'm here watching you this whole time, observing you, studying you, recognizing you, understanding what you should do. And I'm just like waiting until you're like, oh, you're there. It's like, and the thing is, I've really come to like embrace the crone archetype. This is also what you were talking about, Jess, of like, and I also think yoga helps with this, meditation, cultivating the capacity to sit with the burning desire to be seen and to say something in this moment and just practicing. Literally, I will repeat the mantra to myself, like, not now, not now, not now. And I'll just like wait and see if they're going to invite me in the conversation, then maybe it is now. And if not, I really just have to hold on to it. And so I keep notes. I write things down. I write things down so that I will remember, oh yeah, this was a message I had for this person like 3 months ago, or whatever. Now they're finally ready to hear it. Um, so it's about validating yourself and being like, if I feel it, it's real and it will come back around. It will. And if I do the trusting and waiting, it won't just come back around in the way I originally thought. It will be so much better than I thought it would be. Like there were companies I wanted to be a part of 10 years ago that I'm now being invited to be a co-founder of because I waited this long and I built my visibility of who I am. And here's who I am, and here's what I do. And I don't need permission from anyone to show up on my own platform, write my own writing, right? Like you get to paint your own painting. Like no one can take that away from you. It's your self-expression. So if you're just making that visible, people really will find you. And it's just about tolerating the temporary moments of discomfort when you're like, oh, I really wish that it could happen right now, and trusting that probably it will happen so much better than I anticipated because I'm not like fucking with it. I'm not like getting involved and trying to be impatient about it and manipulating the timeline. Like it just doesn't work, you know? So you're going to get bitter because that's just not the right moment. And I've just really also the bitterness shifted for me when I realized it's a protection, not a rejection. I always say this to myself. It's a protection, not a rejection. Like there's a reason it didn't work out. If it didn't work out, there's a reason they didn't see you right now. There's always something. And the bitterness, I definitely feel it. For me, it comes in the form of like, oh, they all got together for that. And like, I wasn't invited. Like, they didn't think I should be there. That's usually, that's the form it comes in for me the most, is like not being invited somewhere that I really wished I had been invited to. But then again, I've even had to learn with that. Like, if they didn't invite me, then I wasn't necessary there, and like there will be another time that they will explicitly invite me, and that will be the right moment to share whatever I thought I wanted to share with them that day.
Mm. And thank you for answering the question I get all the time of, if I have to wait for the invitation, then what do I do? Nothing. No, you show up. You show up for yourself. You show up for your teachings. You show up for your work, whatever feels good. And then the invitations will follow. They always do. Now, Jess, for you, how did you build that trust muscle?
Yeah, so my journey with that came well before my human design knowledge, because I'm a healed codependent and I help people with codependency and heal from it in the ways that I've done. You have to shift into a more waiting state of being, because codependency loves to latch on and try to help everybody and people please and put all these different things onto your pile of responsibilities even when they're not yours. So I very much had to work on that in a very multi-layered and multifaceted way, and thank God I did, because years in between finding out that waiting for the invitation is like the best place for me to be, it just validated that natural state of being. Again, it's the language. It's all about the language. And just like Katya, like I've been very much over the years just stepping into that crone and, healing that, what we would call a witch wound, and not wanting to be visible, not wanting to be found, sharing yourself with the world and having that, risk of rejection and that risk of, being misunderstood. And I dealt with a lot of ageism and a lot of sexism growing up. So it very much was a pylon of all these things that I had to heal in order for myself to be like, oh, this is what it feels like to be completely aligned with your being, as well as knowing that waiting is natural for me and it's definitely not forced in any way, and it hasn't been for years. But it's also about trusting the work that you've done and the amount of healing that you've done, whatever it is, trusting yourself that you are not only entrusted of yourself, but what comes to you. And then I see different things as challenges or lessons, or tests sometimes, from the universe, to see if I'm like, in the right state of mind or the right state of emotion. So, yeah, does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
do you know, like, do you feel like you could put a word or a feeling to that bitterness or how you can tell when
Oh,
kind of
the
push back?
bitterness for me is very different. The bitterness is, but your life would change so much if you just listened to me,
Oh,
or
so it's
you would,
almost like disappointment.
yeah, it's disappointment that what I've shared or what I have to share or could share isn't going to be received or like taken on and integrated into one's life, incorporated in a profound way. And um, so, yeah, it's different. I'm very much like, I don't really mind about, you know, not being invited to like an event or something like that. It's more of like the invitation to help, the invitation to lead and teach and guide them in some sort of way that could really change their life and impact their self in such a great way. So, yeah, it is very much more of a disappointment, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And I know we're coming up on time, so if anyone has to bounce, feel free. Um, I just wanted to ask a couple questions, almost like rapid fire style, but you don't have to actually be like super fucking rapid. So, Steph, how do you know when you're living in alignment with your type?
Usually I am taking moments to rest and I'm like overworking myself. Um, that's when I know I'm out of alignment, when I'm exhausted and like I can't take on anything else. And I've been going all day. Um, and sometimes I have panic attacks when that happens, and I'm like, whoa, slow down, reel it in. You're definitely overextending yourself. You need more rest. I think that's when I tell.
Yeah, the anxiety for sure. What about for you, Katya?
Yeah, that resonates. Anxiety, and I'll say that I can get bitter in my communication. Like if I'm suddenly I'm like, I don't have space. I don't have space for anything. Like, whoa, that is a sign that I have taken on way too many things because ideally I have all the space. Like when I'm really in my alignment, I'm in total fluid control of my schedule and like it is the path disappears, like Lao Tzu says. Like I know I'm on the path when the path disappears.
Mm. And I have so many more questions for you with having so many businesses as a mental projector, but we're just gonna have to do a whole nother episode on that because I feel like that's a lot to unpack.
I can share a short
Sure.
takeaway that it's an illusion. Again, 5-1. A lot of my life is an illusion. Okay. That is important. In a way, I don't want to reveal too much of the secret because the illusion helps my success. Tidbit, okay, of 5-1-ness. I'm so comfortable with what people project onto me at this point because I'm like, it's part of it. It's
Yep.
part of how they're supposed to receive me. But I don't do anything alone. So like people think I have so many businesses. I have so many teams and I have so many groups of people who respect my wisdom and advice. And so they recognize that I may work on something in a totally different way, but it's just as valuable as the way they're going to enact the vision into beingness. So I'm a visionary. I have a lot of visions and I build teams around my visions. I don't do anything alone. The only thing I do alone is my one-on-one human design readings. That is literally the only thing. It's like when I need to fully tap in to the other person, that is the only thing that I do alone and like write and create art. But even that, my best art is not created alone. It's with I have my best friend here. I want to film some things like he's here with me. He's a manifesting generator. Like I need team. Team is life. And that is how I do so many things because I'm not actually doing them myself.
Yes.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes. Preach. Even me as a Manny Gen, I still need a team. I can't, I mean, I've got three young kids and a whole other life besides work. And so, yes, teams always. Um, Jess, how do you know when you're living in alignment with your type?
I'm very much at peace and I feel content. Content is a big thing for me. And then the other thing is when I'm able to channel and download, is another phrase we can use, ideas uh, insights, writings, art, and there's no force. It just happens. I keep a notebook and certain things with me because that if my channel is basically clear and I'm able to just receive things without thinking about it or forcing it or prompting it to happen, I'm very much in balance.
Mm, yes, that's very, I feel like that's probably for everyone too. I mean, I feel that for me, but yes, absolutely. All right, final question, although I could ask so many more. Steph, what do you wish other types understood about you and your energy?
Oh my gosh. Um, it's pretty much what I already said. Like I need rest. Like I cannot work all the time. I experienced burnout last year. Like, and it's okay that I take the rest, and it's okay for me to take time to rest. I feel that's a societal thing. Like you can't rest during the middle of the day. Like you have to get all of your work done. It's your work day. So being okay with taking breaks and resting.
Hmm. Preach. What about for you, Katya?
I wish that other types would understand that a projector's wisdom is unlike any other types of wisdom. That's what I wish.
Ooh, mic drop.
I'm gonna say it outright. You can go get advice from someone else, but it's not going to be the same quality as advice from us. It's our gift to give advice. And also, don't ask me for advice if you're not going to take it seriously, because I'm
Everyone's
not
clapping at that. Yeah.
in hearing people complain to me about the same thing over and over again without integrating anything I said the last 5 times that they asked me the same exact question.
Mm.
So it's like, and it's okay. We have to learn patience. You see the little bitterness slip in there where I'm like, I really resonated with what you said, Jess, which is like, God, if you would just do it the way I said it, then it would be great. It would be perfect. And again, it's okay. We just have to be patient. That's our whole, oh my God, one of the biggest things we're here to learn is patience, I think, as projectors, because we're like super quick.
Mhm.
So I really wish that, because I think this is like there's the story about the woman who drew the Nike logo on a napkin, and then she was like, that will be $2 million, and they were like, what, for this drawing on the napkin? She's like, no, you're paying $2 million for the years of experience that I have so that I would be able to draw this for you on a napkin in 10 seconds. That is what I wish people understood about projector energy, that we should be paid the same amount for like an hour that someone else might get paid for 10, because it's a different level of work, plain
Mm.
and simple.
Yep. Yep. And even me as a manifesting generator, yes, I agree with that. Yes, very much. I'll sit here and do, and I'll like create new things and all that shit. And you just tell me what to do and like help me make it better. Jess, what about for you? What do you wish others understood about your energy?
We have a very high ceiling.
Ooh.
We have a very high ceiling of what can come through, whether it's knowledge, wisdom, ideas, insights. I can go on and on. We have a high tolerance. We tend to be um, we tend to be all knowing, but it's not coming across as, you know, I'm the queen of all things. It doesn't have that like that toxic energy attached to it. It's more of like there's no ceiling of limitation. We're very much able to gather all these different resources, whether it's tangible or intangible, and use them to our advantage and really basically be magical beings. And it's the I'm not trying to be so fluffy with my words. I'm being very particular. But yeah, I feel like I have so much opportunity and I feel like I have so much grace and so much compassion and patience. And there's just so many things where it's like my ceilings and, you know, my tolerance levels and all these different levels are so high that it's basically like also very, it takes a long time and a lot to get me upset or annoyed or, it's like high tolerance, not a lot of limitation. And it's really great professionally because we just go above and beyond in the most natural way. Like you can leave us alone and we can just do the thing and we can have it just soar off into the moon, and then we present it and they're like, what in the world, like this is amazing. It's just like we're not really trying so hard. So yeah, I think projectors are incredible, and it's just been so great to again have the language. And that's just one of the things that comes up all the time, like we're not as limited as other people.
Everyone has their own gifts, every type and every unique person underneath the type. I mean, type is just so high level, but really understanding the magic of the aura of a projector and then of a generator and so on and so forth is so, so helpful. Thank you guys so, so much for being here, for sharing your life experience, your billions of years of fucking wisdom that you've been collecting, waiting for this moment for me to be like, hey, can you come share everything? If you want to connect with Stephanie or Katya or Jess, all their information will be in the show notes below. Thank you guys so, so much for being here. I truly appreciate you taking this time.
Thank you for inviting us. We couldn't do it without you.
Literally.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank